Hello and welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name is Tim Murdoch.
And my name is Matt Emmert. And if you're wondering why are we dressed up, it's because Tim and I are prom king and prom queen. We were elected by all you listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you for voting.
There were no other contenders, but we still won. We still won.
Thank God.
Yeah. And actually, we are dressing in theme for today's episode because today we are going to be discussing Fear Street Prom Queen, a new movie that came onto Netflix, but we aren't alone. We have a special guest with us, and this is not his first time on the podcast. This is actually his second, and weirdly enough, Tim, you ready for this?
Yes.
This is episode 258, and he was on episode 57. So we should have timed this better.
Wow.
Huh?
And you know what's crazy? I do want to say something. I think when the last time we spoke to Hiko, we were in Palm Springs, and we decided to do this. Oh, I think I was completely intoxicated by White Claws. So I don't know what I said. So if I said anything silly,
it was crazy. So let's introduce him. First off, since we had that episode with him 4 years ago, first off, Hiko is a really close friend of all of ours. He has been friends with us for probably 2 decades. He is a Fear Street mega fan / expert. And when we had him on the show 4 years ago, we just had him on because the Fear Street trilogy had come out to Netflix, and he knows so much about Fear Street because loved the books, loves RL Stein. But since then, he started an Instagram page called Fear Street Diaries, which is really awesome. You have to check it out. And it's just in-depth Fear Street stuff, covers, polls, fun stuff. Anyway, let us introduce to you again, Hiko Mitsuzuka.
Hi. Cue the audience laughter and cheers.
Oh, we'll put in some applause, but like we have our own applause. So
and I came prepared with my Shady Side shirt.
And what good friend of yours got that for you?
Which, yes, Matt, thank you. It was a birthday gift from Matt.
It was. Look, I mean, Hiko, when we first heard about this movie coming out, we knew we had to have you back on the show because it's been, like Tim said, 4 years since we recorded together with you in Palm Springs.
And I remember we were all huddled in a bedroom at the house we were staying at.
Yep, that sounds dirty, but
I remember we took time from the pool and drank to talk about this, which I can only imagine I must have sounded insane.
The funny thing is that we also tried to tackle all 3 of those movies in one episode. How would we like Tim and I look back for our listeners who have been with us for years? We used to do 2 movies per episode. Now we do 1 movie per episode so we can go more in depth. And we look back on like, how the fuck did
I don't
we talk
know.
about 2?
That was a lot to jam in. That's what she said.
You were like the eager podcast babies, and now you're veterans. So,
well, thank you. So, Hiko, I want to ask, since we last spoke with you, not like we last spoke with Hiko 4 years ago, but on the podcast, tell us how you transitioned from just being a super fan to starting the Fear Street Diaries Instagram page.
Oh yeah, I started the Instagram page like in anticipation for the original trilogy, and then it was a great creative platform for me to like showcase my fandom, interact with other fans on Instagram. I got to know like the Bookstagram community and meet some booktubers, did some Instagram live chat collaborations. It was really cool just meeting, it opened like the gates to like other fans of Fear Street, like me, who had like a lot of the books or all of the books, bookcases that looked like mine growing up. And it was just fun I came up with different ways to express that fandom and all that enthusiasm. I did for the 35th anniversary last year of Fear Street. I did like this ultimate fan bracket for like all the original cover art of all the books, and everyone, all the followers, they chimed in, and we whittled it down to like the top 24 and then the top 20, the top 12, the top 4, and it turns out everyone loved Cheerleaders, the First Evil. That's been one of the most iconic covers of the series. It was really fun, and got to make some friends along the way, and I was trying to like get into get some behind the scenes or like info on the movie with Prom Queen coming out. I wanted to, really amp up. It was like I was part of the marketing team almost. I was doing like their marketing for them. If you saw any of my activity on Instagram, because I was just so excited for this new movie to come out ever since I heard about it like over a year ago. So,
wow. Yeah, I remember when you told us about they were making a new movie, and we were also excited because we, as you can tell by our shirts, we love a good prom slasher / horror movie. I have Carrie on, Tim as
Prom Night, 1980.
Which is funny because I think I like Prom Night more and you like Carrie more.
I love them both.
I love Prom Night, but shirts, whatever. But yeah, so you did Fear Street Diaries, and like you said, I mean, your content has been promoting this movie. Again, it's like free marketing for them for ages. But I also want you to tell our listeners about the amazing opportunity you had just a couple weeks ago where you met RL Stein in person, like your idol. So tell us about that.
Yeah, that I just happened to see, I follow his brand managers, and they posted something on Instagram that he was making an appearance at this festival in Orange County here in Southern California. And he was going to be making an appearance and doing an author talk at this big community center library venue. And I went. I drove down to Orange County, like cleared my schedule for that day. I actually went down super early, like 4 hours, and just to get a lay of the land and like do some reconnaissance. And I was at the community center, and I saw the flyer. I was looking at the flyer, and the staffer comes by, and she goes, "Oh, are you here for the R.L. Stein event?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, the line is starting out front. You might want to get in line." So 4 hours early before it started, I actually got in line. I ended up being in like the first 30 people to get into the author talk. He did this like discussion panel, and then I happened to sit next to his brand managers during the discussion panel. Then afterwards, I had to make a beeline for the autograph area. He had like a table set out. And they were really strict about like you only get 2 books signed, nothing else. But I brought my framed fan letter reply, the response from him that I got when I was 12 years old in the early 90s. Do the math.
And what he failed to mention, he means the 1890s. Go on.
And yeah, it was in a matted frame. I took the matte out part with the letter still in it, and he signed. He re-signed it with my name, personalizing it for me. So,
and he spelled it correctly.
He spelled it. Well, I had written it. I brought a Post-it because whenever you go to like an autograph event, they always like whoever's helping you, the publicist or whatever, you write your name on a Post-it first so they can see it and they just copy it. So I had that prepared. And I went up to him. I couldn't believe it. It's like first time in the whole life I've been a fan of his for over 30 years. I finally got to be in the same room and like shake hands with him. And I introduced myself. I said, "Oh, I run an Instagram called Fear Street Diaries." And he had like this look of recognition on his face. And he actually said, "Oh yeah, I know you. I see you every morning." And I was like, "Yeah, because I tag you in everything that I post on."
You're like, you don't have a choice.
Was there 4,000 people there?
Oh no, there was like 1,000, but they only let the first 200 people get a wristband for the autographs.
Wow.
So a lot of people were turned away. But yeah, he said he recognized me, and he commented a few times in the 4 years I've had Fear Street Diaries. He's like commented or liked some of my posts that I've tagged him in. And we actually exchanged a very brief DM where I used it as like a pull quote from his DM is saying like he enjoys everything I do. So I used that quote and put it in like my own like promotional material for the Instagram.
That's so cool. So wait, you're saying RL Stein slid into your DMs?
Well, I slid into his, but I was shocked. He actually replied to it like a couple of days later because I'd been asking him about the preparations for Prom Queen when it was in development, if he was doing any like interviews or blog interviews, press around it. So there wasn't anything at the time, but he replied to me and he goes, "Yes, thank you for, I enjoy all that you do on Instagram." So
that
that
is
was
great. And he is,
yeah.
I think you told me this, but he is an 80 what year old man? 82?
He's in his early 80s. I can quickly
That is
Hey Siri.
unbelievable that he is that he is still go.
How
Ask it.
old is RL Stein?
RL Stein is 81 years old.
81.
Wow.
And his birthday is in October, so he'll be 82 this year.
How are you going to celebrate?
With a cake, surprise party for him, invite a few of his friends.
I mean, what an incredible career from Fear Street to Goosebumps to the TV show to these movies. And he's still, when was the last book R.L. Stein put out?
Well, he's still putting out new Goosebumps books. It's like a Goosebumps spinoff called House of Shivers. Those come out every several months. So there's those. And then he has like a collection of short stories called Stein Tinglers. The third one came out. And he has he's not doing any more Fear Street books, which is sad. He was quoted in an interview not too long ago saying it's tough to write about teen death just because we're kind of referring to we're living in the era of school shootings, which was kind of a downer to hear about. But he feels awkward about writing about murdering teens, so he's sticking with his younger audience and Goosebumps. But he also is writing a new series of graphic novels called the Graveyard Club, and the second one just came out, I think, earlier this month. It's called Fresh Blood. It follows a bunch of teenagers who gather in the cemetery of their little town and confront spooky things.
So when he wants to kill off teens, he wants to make them more supernatural now.
Probably, yeah, in graphic novel form and have someone just draw it for him. So yeah.
Is there a particular book in the Fear Street community that is the most sought after? Everyone on eBay, everyone is trying to get it?
Well, that's a good question because I think there's several. So within the whole Fear Street book universe, there's a lot of spin-offs like the Fear Street sagas. There's Ghosts of Fear Street. There's the Fear Street Seniors, which was like a 12-book miniseries that kind of ended the original run. And those, I know the seniors ones, I can pull them up for you right now.
And when you say Fear Street seniors, we ain't talking senior citizens. We're talking seniors in high school.
Right? Yeah, I'm writing that.
I was like, can we be in Fear Street senior?
Yeah, it all takes place at a rest home. Yeah.
Oh, Fear Street Golden Girls.
So there's So this is Fear Street seniors. It followed the same characters across their senior year. And these books are kind of hard to come by. I went online. The final book in the series was selling for well over $100.
I want 1,000.
That would be a lot of. But you know what? That's cool because I remember specifically when we talked with you last time 4 years ago, I asked you about they don't really have continuing characters across the Fear Street universe. So it sounds like this series, though, it did stick with the same group of people.
Yeah, it introduced in the first book, it introduced a bunch of teens, and then each book kind of focused on a different group of them throughout their senior year. I feel like such a hypocrite. I don't have all of the senior books.
Oh my God.
My collection is not.
I'm calling the cops.
End this interview right now. Over.
I know, but I'm missing 4. I'm missing 4. So.
It looks like you got to put them on that wish list. So get them for your
Get on that wish list.
I heard that. And yes, Tim, I have a wish list on Amazon.
What he was referring to.
Make fun of that till the cows come home.
And the cows are not coming home. We in our Clown in a Cornfield episode, because Clown in a Cornfield came from a book which I unknowingly had forgotten that I had gotten Hiko for his birthday, because he had put it on his Amazon wish list. So we were joking. Tim's like, who has an Amazon wish list? And I'm like, Hiko does.
Well, maybe that's just my naivete. But people have wish lists if they're getting married or have a baby. I didn't know people
that's
could
more
just
like
have
registries, I guess.
Is that a wish list is like a registry?
Similar.
Yeah.
So Hiko, you're gonna put the Fear Street Seniors books on your except Hiko's birthday is not for like 9 or 10 months. So you got a long time till I gotta revisit that wish list, Hiko.
You're getting a card from me.
So let's shift to Fear Street Prom Queen. Now, the thing about this movie is that there was an actual book called Fear Street Prom Queen. So when we first heard, oh, there's the book. Okay, so if you are watching, which I hope you are, because if you're listening,
disheveled hair.
Look at Tim's disheveled hair and give us a comment about it. Secondly, if you're listening, please come to YouTube where you can see us and see Hiko's beautiful display of Fear Street books, but he has Prom Queen. But what I wanted to know, and this was my biggest question, is that, okay, so they decide they're going to make a movie, but the original trilogy that came out on Netflix was kind of like a combination of things related to a bunch of books, correct?
Yeah, they took certain elements from a bunch of books and just created an original kind of mythology. Yeah.
Okay, so then they decide they're going to do a movie called Prom Queen, and I assumed it would be a direct like adaptation of that book. But now that we have seen it, how closely related to the book is this movie?
Is there a Lorie Granger?
There is not. So I knew going into this movie that the writers and director was gonna like take some liberties with the material, because if you looked up the cast list or the character names, none of those characters are in the book. It's basically, after watching the movie now, it's as if someone just read the back synopsis of the book and filled in the rest with their own stories. It's basically, the synopsis for the book is someone's murdering prom queen candidates of, at Shady Side High one by one. And we don't know who, and that's all it goes into. And all the murders are kind of done off the page. You follow the protagonist in the book, and her name is Lizzie. She and her friends are just stumbling upon the dead bodies, and this killer is a mystery, and it's it's like a murder mystery. You find out at the end who it is, and it's definitely not the same killer or killers that are in the movie. So
well, yeah, our listeners know we spoil everything about the movies we review, but we will not ruin the book for you by me asking you who off the record. I actually want to know who was the killer in the book because I'm interested.
And off the record, I'm okay not knowing.
Tim's okay. Tim can live his life.
Love the covers of the books, Goosebumps and RL Stein. And
Fear Street, yeah.
Fear Street. I love the covers. As a kid, I didn't read the books, but I definitely looked at the covers.
If I know they made a picture book,
don't judge a book by its cover, but I did. I judged them.
He judged it, yeah. So Hiko, so you're saying that okay? So then my question to you is, as a Fear Street expert and aficionado, were you disappointed that they positioned this as a movie? I mean, I don't know if they positioned it as saying based off the book, but they took an exact title of a book and then completely did a movie that had nothing to do with the book.
I wasn't entirely disappointed. I kind of was expecting that they were going to do their own thing, the filmmakers and producers. The only thing that was a little disappointing, and I know it's a pain point for a lot of the diehard fans that I've met over the years, and anyone who's listening to this and will know what I'm talking about. One disappointment that will stand out is the movies, and yet with Prom Queen as well, never refer to the actual street in Shadyside. No one lives on it. You would think a character would be getting dressed at home for the prom, and they're going out in their limo, and they're leaving Fear Street. They live on Fear Street, and they're like, okay, bye. I see. There's no reference or even mention of the actual street that this whole series.
Yeah, it seems like a missed opportunity.
I know they keep saying Shadyside because Shadyside represents this big kind of microcosm of middle America, or this down. The first trilogy was a big socioeconomic metaphor for the working class people and the neighboring town of Sunnyvale, which was more high scale and upper class. But I don't know. It's just really strange why no one actually mentions the street.
Were you happy with it taking place in 1988?
Yeah, Yeah, because I knew that was gonna create an opportunity for a really great soundtrack.
Oh,
'Cause
yes.
if you remember Fear Street Part 1, 1994, that was like an onslaught of 90s tunes that we all remember from high school.
My
Uh,
favorites. Yes. Every time there's a chance to listen to a 90s station, I turn it on. Go on.
and yeah, I knew, yeah, being set in 1988, that would open the doors to a really great soundtrack, and the music supervisors had a lot of work to do. And I'm assuming that's where a lot of the budget went to
Oh
in
my
that
God.
particular movie.
I mean, I'm just jumping right to the end. I loved this movie. The other three, I could not, the rewatchability factor for me was like none, but I could watch Prom Queen. I could watch it 5 more times.
I couldn't disagree more. I no. And Tim and
Ooh,
I are
divisive.
I know Tim and I are usually
You're
on the same page. We really are.
Yeah.
And knowing Tim as well as I do, I feel like, and I may be wrong, the music may have you love that music so much that I feel like they could have had someone twirling around with their fingers and you would have been like, I love it because you love that
I
music.
also love Bitchy Girls.
Yes,
I love
yes.
Bitchy Girls, and I love the soundtrack, and I love the 80s. So this was like, it was heaven.
I loved Fear Street 1994, and what was the summer camp one?
1978.
I
Yeah.
loved those two. I didn't necessarily love the 1666 one. I didn't love Prom Queen, but I also didn't I didn't hate it. It was fun. It just, there was so much room for improvement, like for the 80s type thing. Well, first off, when talking about the 80s aspect, is the book set in the 80s or was the book written in the 80s?
Oh no, it was all those books were in present day as they were coming out in the 90s. So Prom Queen, the book, actually came out in 1992, like 4 years after where this movie's set. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe because they did the 1994 movie, and if they were set it again in the 90s, I don't know, it would have been too close. But I think they just wanted to set it in a very distinct other era.
I love 80. Okay, when I heard about this movie, and I know we're kind of giving general thoughts and then we'll get into it, but like when I heard about this movie and I heard a prom killer taking place during the 80s, I was like, this is everything I want out of a slasher movie. Like literally, Prom Night's one of my favorite horror movies. I do love Carrie. I love anything that takes place in a nighttime setting of a school with a masked killer and an 80s soundtrack. So it had everything it needed to be.
What is the problem?
The problem is that other than the music, did you feel like it didn't capture the 80s that well?
Well, you know what? I before, even when the trailer came out and like images starting appearing online, I was reading the comments of fans, and I knew there were some comments and worries about the representation of like the fashion and the hair. Some people were like, complaining about, oh, the hair's not big enough and it's not as like neon and glitzy. And I mean, it was a more subdued representation maybe of like 1988. It could have gone a little bit further to make it to imbue it with more campiness almost.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't a full-blown comedy like that. I think was more of Totally Killer with Julie Bowen. But,
Yeah.
This, I thought they really did a nice job, and spoiler, I love the ending. I love it.
Yeah, and we'll get to that because it is interesting. The ending was my favorite part, actually. But like, I think when it comes to just talking about the 80s representation, yeah, I was missing the big feathery bangs, the side ponytails, although there was a guy with a creepy
that was
ponytail.
Distracting.
The guy who looked 30.
Yeah, the 30-year-old at the prom. And I also, and Jacob kind of mentioned this as we were watching, and it is true because now that we've lived through these decades and are in the present, lines like "eat a dick" and "that's sick" were not used in the 80s. And Hiko, where was the script supervisor on this?
Right?
Like, come on, like that's one thing where you can't throw in teenage language that's more recent and then say it's 1988.
I did like that they kind of paid a little homage to Heathers when they said, "What's your damage?" I said, "Oh, that's fine."
Yeah. I mean, look, they didn't screw it up completely. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna put the movie in the 80s and we're gonna have like some bitchy girls, like really like where was a tubular or like they said gag me with a spoon once, I think, right?
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
Did you hear it? I thought I heard
Yeah,
it.
I think I did. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, but it's just like weird. There were just a lot of teenage language that didn't feel like it was 80s teenage language. Again, I probably sound like the negative Nancy.
It's kind of a big broad stroke. I mean, I felt like it was a lot of movie tropes smushed into one, but I didn't mind that because again, it had the girl that with a backstory, it had the bitchy girl. One thing I found interesting was like girls running for prom court. I thought you were nominated and then you voted one more time.
Yeah, that was
like I don't get handing out flowers like vote for me.
Yeah, that was a little bit different. So to kind of set up the movie, kind of we're at the very beginning, like we're introduced to who we know is going to be our protagonist, which is Lorie Granger. By the way, I love that they use the name Lorie because Laurie Strode. Anyone?
No, I'm not familiar. That's a little indie film. No one likes it.
They spelled it differently too.
They did. So like Lorie Granger is the main girl, and she is kind of set up to be the outsider. She basically is running for prom queen because she just wants to prove everyone wrong because there's a backstory where everyone thinks her mom killed her dad when they were teenagers, which I love a good backstory. It didn't really get fully developed until that monologue from the bitchy girl. But what are your guys' thoughts on how did we feel about our protagonist, Lorie Granger, who is played by, who is she played by, Hiko?
Her name is India Fowler, and I believe she's not American. She's either a Kiwi or an Aussie or a British. I just remember hearing clips of her speak in her native accent, and I couldn't get a handle on, yeah.
How do we feel about Lorie Granger?
I loved her. I think she's the most, this is, again, I sound so shallow today. She's the prettiest girl in the school. Just today. Just today.
Today.
Prettiest girl in the school. So I was like, she should be prom queen because that's what it's about.
It's about looks. Everything. It looks.
It was.
But it was
not today.
No, she was a good heroine, final girl. I remember there were comments too, like that, like she's so pretty, and that's like she's being picked on by all these mean girls, and like, wouldn't she easily fit in with the wolf pack, with their group? So, but maybe because she had this tragic history in her family that she's become an outcast. But I mean, she's very pretty and she emoted very well. So
I thought there was a puzzle piece missing from, like, she had one quick discussion with her mother, but like, and then you kind of hear about the backstory later, but then we don't get the scene at the end, like her and her mother, like, we don't get that.
It's a very, it was an undercooked backstory. Do you, it felt like that. Do you agree with that, Tim? Okay, because I was like, I know you really liked it, but like the thing is that the other girls running for Queen Bee are all part of this popular girl group called the Wolf Pack, and they are led by Tiffany, who is like queen of all bitches. It's like Regina George / who's the worst Heather? What's her last name?
Heather Duke. I can't remember all the Heathers.
Who's the worst Heather? None of you guys remember? Oh my God. And we're gay men. Heather something. She's like the trope of beyond bitch. Everything that matters is prom queen. And she's got her 3 friends. 2 of them are just as bitchy, and the only other one that has like some redeemable qualities is her friend Melissa, who was the actress who was in Until Dawn, Ella Rubin.
Yeah.
And okay, so thoughts on the Wolf Pack? Did they nail the bitchy girl crew well? How'd you guys think?
Yeah. And there's a dance number to prove it.
Oh my God. That was very taken from Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a dance number at the prom where all of the wolf pack are in patriotic looking one pieces, and they all do, it's the most ridiculous dance. What was the song playing?
Oh God.
The Look by Roxette.
Yes. And a little provocative, but Lily Taylor, by the way, Lily Taylor's in this movie, which I love seeing her because, from Mystic Pizza, The Haunting. What else was she in?
Conjuring.
The Conjuring.
Oh, The Conjuring. How can I forget that?
Mystic Pizza. I like that. Oh, Lily Taylor, known for Mystic Pizza.
How could I forget about The Conjuring?
The Conjuring, she was great. You're right. Lily Taylor, okay, there's a lot of side characters. There's the principal and the vice principal. The vice principal's Lily Taylor. There's her like very religious, kind of awkward son who gets maybe 3 minutes of screen time.
Some good 3 minutes because that sounds so dirty.
The best 3 minutes Tim's ever had.
No, but it gave us just enough red herring to be like, oh, he's a suspect.
Yes, there's also the only other girl running for prom queen that isn't part of the Wolf Pack, and her name is Christy, and she's played by, who is she played by, Hiko?
Ariana Greenblatt.
And she was in Barbie, and she's supposed to be like she's not an outsider, but like, is she just like a drug dealer? I don't remember.
She's like, yeah, she's like the cool rebel girl who like is a lone wolf, and she was also in that movie Borderlands with Jamie Lee Curtis last year.
Oh yeah, that was a box office bomb.
But what wasn't that small independent film called Halloween?
No one's interested.
Yeah. That small movie, that she's been known for 48 years now, or 47.
I wish she would talk about it.
Oh, how dare you. Okay, so we get all these side characters, but we can't forget Lorie's best friend. She's Megan, and she's also an outsider, but she's like the kind of outsider in high school who embraces it. She doesn't care that she's gonna be cool, and she also is a really loyal friend. I gotta tell you, I really liked Lorie and Megan, and I liked their friendship, and a part of me wanted them to be lovers.
I thought it was going to go that way. I thought there'd be a stolen kiss or something.
Yeah, it was queer coded, as they say. And also she left out that she's a horror nerd. So that speaks to you, all of us. So she's really cool. In the beginning of the movie, she pulls that prank in class, chopping her hand off.
You mean
so she's a cool girl. She's like probably someone we'd all be friends with,
And the thing is, it also reminds me of the type of person I was in high school, because unlike Tim, I was not like
to anyone in this
popular. Tim was one of the Wolfpack. I was not popular, but like I was involved in a lot of stuff, and I sort of was a class clown, so I could see myself. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've told you guys this story, but like, my best friend Josh growing up and I, when I was a sophomore in high school, in the grunge stage, I had hair down to my chin. This is true. And I had it for a year, and I decided that day I was going to shave it all off, go and get a haircut. So because I knew I was going to do that, we planned a prank in my journalism class where Josh and I faked getting in an argument, and he took a pair of scissors and chopped a big piece of my hair out, and I freaked out. And we did this in front of the class, and everyone freaked out, and I started laughing hysterically, and we got sent out of class by the teacher.
I love it.
Yeah. It's true story.
No, I've heard many, being your friend for so long, I've heard these stories. I've heard many stories like this.
Yeah.
Were you in the prom court?
No, Tim, I was not. But tell me, Tim, were you in the prom court?
I peaked in 1996.
Wait, Hiko, then what kind of student were you? Tell us everything about your high school days.
Oh, well, I went to an all-boys school, high school.
Ooh, I like it.
No, we had the all-girls school down the road. So we did functions together. We competed with each other at speech and debate. All the school plays were with the girls' school. But I was a lone wolf my freshman, sophomore year. I was a huge bookworm, so I always had my nose in books. But then I joined speech and debate and kind of found my tribe, and got more involved, and kind of was, on good I was like on good terms with everyone. Like I knew different groups of people, or I was acquainted with different groups of people. So I was kind of like a chameleon, or just, trying to go around and be friends with everybody. But yeah, and our prom was, oh my God.
What was the theme? The enchantment under the sea?
Oh God.
I don't think we even had a theme, but we had it at like a catering hall where usually has like wedding receptions and whatever. I think it was called the Fountainhead. But growing up in New York, we had, funny enough, we had a DJ at our prom who kind of scammed a lot of us into buying tickets to an after party in Manhattan after the prom. And they were all bogus tickets because we went to this club in Manhattan called Speed. And back then we spent $20 a ticket. And back then, oh God, we're dating ourselves. $20 was a lot for an 18-year-old in the late 90s. And we get to the club, and it's like this narrow, tall building, which I guess at the time I'd never been in a New York City club. It seemed really intimidating, and it was all these different levels of just like weird people and flashing lights and red lights, and the tickets were bogus, so we had to pay another $20 to get in, and none of us were feeling the club, so we ended up walking out in like 10 minutes. So
Wait, this was an adult DJ who scammed a bunch of high school kids?
yeah.
Oh my God.
And we reported it. I mean, everyone reported it to like the school, like to the principal and everything. And there were some people who were able to get their money back, but I never got my money back. And yeah, that's like the one big memory from my prom. And we spent the rest of the night though. Like we went somewhere for like a late night meal in Manhattan, and then just took the limo back to like it was a group of 10 of us. We were 5 couples in one big limo, and we ended up just going back to someone's house to do like a sleepover. So
that's fun.
And the girl you went with, Hiko, how did that go?
No, it was a friend of mine. We'd known each other like since 6th grade, and she went to the all-girls school.
So there was an understanding there wasn't going to be any funny business.
Not with anyone, yeah.
I love it. Wait, real quick, because this actually is probably more interesting to me than the movie was. But like, Tim, I want to hear your prom night story. Quick.
It was a good friend as well, and like I remember she was wearing heels. I remember her throwing off the heels and dancing. She was really into dancing, and all I was concerned about was getting that crown.
Well, and you didn't win, right? But you were part of.
And his name, the guy that won was named CJ. CJ, wherever you are, I'm coming for that crown.
I love that. I mean, I've told this story on a previous episode, but I'm going to retell it because the biggest memory of my senior prom was I asked a girl that I actually was dating at the time. I know I was dating a girl, but before prom, it ended between us, and she started dating someone else. But we agreed to still go to prom together, and that was still going to be our night. And so she came with me and my friends. We had a limo, everything. We get to the prom, and she ditches me for the guy she was dating. And it was just really upsetting because we had agreed, we still were going to make that our night. But the good news is everyone always asks like, oh my God, that's so horrible. But I actually ended up still having a great time with all my friends. And, who cares about her? Like, I mean,
do you remember going into prom and like the serious couples, like they were like, they probably just ended up pregnant.
The funny thing about her ditching me first, she probably made the right decision in the long run because I wasn't going to be doing anything with her. But like, I had a great time at prom without her and all my friends,
Yeah. So we all loved tearing up the dance floor. Like the DJ was pretty good. We made requests. God, what was playing back then? It was like
the Macarena.
No, that was that was at your prom, Tim.
Oh, there was like that. You know that song by Next called "Too Close"?
No.
Oh, you're dancing real close.
Yes, of course. Yes. Okay. Of course. Don't know any titles, but yeah. My God. Okay. Nope. Well, moving back into prom night, I was about to say prom queen. So the first murder we get, poor Ariana Greenblatt, that's the name, right? She probably was one of the bigger names in this movie. She ends up getting killed the night before prom. And I will say this, like the killer's outfit was cool. I really liked the red, very like blood red raincoat, and the mask was creepy. And she gets like axed to death after she's doing like a drug deal or something. And it was kind of unexpected because I thought she'd be a bigger part of the movie.
Yeah, well, again, leading up to the movie's release, there had been speculation that she was going to get killed early on because she's not in any of the clips in the rest of the trailer. She was the biggest name, so maybe this movie was going to pull a, Scream, Drew Barrymore thing, just like they did with Maya Hawke in the opening of Fear Street 1994.
But that opening was so good.
Yeah, it was very Scream-esque.
I loved Fear Street 1994's opening in the mall, and Maya Hawke.
The mall.
It was just so cool. Anyway, sorry. But like they kill her, and so the next day, of course, the only person who's even asking about her is Megan because she wants to get joined before prom.
Boyfriend does show up at the prom looking for her, and I was like, is he a killer?
You're like, is he a killer? When's he going to be naked?
I was trying to figure out who the killer was from the get-go.
Yeah, they definitely do a great whodunit job. And so when we get to the prom, we do have, like Tim said, Lorie has a weird relationship with her mom, who likes to wear white tank tops, by the way. I loved her mom in the white tank top, who apparently, again, like this was, I felt like a missed opportunity because I was really interested in whatever that backstory was about why her mom was accused of killing her dad at the prom. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to be connected. It's Final Destination Bloodlines.
Like, I really feel like, I don't know if this is a casting thing, but like, I didn't feel like the daughter or the mother had any kind of connection. And like, I wanted it to be a stronger connection.
Yeah. What were your thoughts?
That might have been, the direction. Like one of my criticisms, I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I didn't hate it, but I have some criticism. Like it could have been a direction issue. I feel like it was just a red herring that didn't wasn't strong enough. Like you're supposed to be given all these clues and red herrings to really genuinely think, oh, could it be this? Could it be this person? But they just were weak, and I don't know. It was like you said, Matt. The whodunit angle could have been a little bit stronger. Like at one point we're just watching people getting killed with 10 seconds being spent on one character looking shady, and especially the janitor. Oh my God, the janitor. And it's such a textbook definition of creepy old guy red herring. It's like, obviously he's not going to get killed. And I mean, obviously he's going to be killed. And
obviously he's not the killer. That's the thing. It's like, I get when a movie is trying to use the common horror tropes. I get that and I respect it. But there's a way to do it and make it smart. And I didn't feel like the janitor, like, okay, we get it. He's going to have a creepy look on his face in every scene and be watching people. It was so over the top. It almost felt parody. It was like, we know there's always a creepy guy. There's a creepy gardener in prom night. But that was before they knew what the trope was. Right. So I excuse it.
They were walking a tightrope with like going for parody. Like I thought, like they didn't. I mean, maybe a little bit with Chris Klein and his wife, which actually turned out to be, yeah. But but like those characters were so cliched, and even it was her name Brittany?
Tiffany.
I know.
Same.
But like those characters were teetering on parody.
The thing is, we forgot to mention that Tiffany, the head bitch, what is it?
HBIC, head bitch in charge.
Yeah. Her parents are played by Chris Klein, who we were shocked because we all grew up with Chris Klein as like the student in American Pie, like the guy from American Pie. Now he's like a dad/teacher. And her mom is played by who, Hiko? I know you told
Catherine Waterston, who I guess most noted for being in the Fantastic Beasts franchise.
Oh, that one.
Harry Potter spinoff franchise.
You're speaking to the wrong people. The Harry what?
I can't. I like the score. It's pretty.
Jim liked the cover. Her parents are the typical like Regina George parents, like Amy Poehler, where they're kind of living vicariously through their daughter. They want her to be prom queen. They're very involved. And the thing is, when we get to the prom, it was interesting that I did like that Lorie didn't have a date. She went with her friend Megan, and that was nice. Again, I love the friendship dynamic. And we're introduced to Tiffany and her wolf pack after they do that ridiculous number. Each of her friends start dying, but I noticed that I couldn't tell one friend apart. Could you guys?
Well, Melissa
they were
was
given
the nice
such
one.
little. Yeah, they were given such little time to be any memorable characters. It was just at one point in the movie, you're just watching it. That's when it kind of felt like one of those trashy 80s movies that go direct to video that we sometimes watch together.
Yes, exactly.
Or direct to streaming. Like they're just characters you really don't get invested in, and they just get butchered and sliced and diced. So
let's talk about some of these kills, because there were some pretty intense/creative kills. Like her first friend who gets killed, I think her name
she's blonde.
No, her name is Debbie, as I start choking. Debbie goes to a room to like hook up with her boyfriend, and she literally gets gutted. We don't see it though. That's where I thought
that was an element of cleverness, because like as she was walking into the light, her guts were coming out, and then the guy had a good reaction too. Again, this movie is built for chase scenes, because if you watch the original Prom Night, Wendy, is it Wendy?
Wendy's scene from prom night. Yes.
It goes on forever. And I just wanted a little more chase scenes because everyone gets kind of killed very quickly except for the two girls. But that was a good kill.
So I totally got that name wrong. I'm looking now. It was actually Linda. Debbie is the friend that gets killed. But again, this is an example of I only remembered the certain characters that made an impact. So Linda got gutted. Her boyfriend, and to me, it kind of reminded me, did anybody get like a Faculty vibe when they took what's that thing called that slices people?
Paper cutter, right?
Oh, paper cutter, of course. Yeah. The paper cutter. And he gets both arms cut off. And
not arms, just the hand.
Oh, is it just the hands? Oh, yeah. And it was kind of funny because he's trying to escape and open the door and he can't because he just has little stubs on his hands. That was creative.
Yeah.
And then he gets bashed to death. Her other friend, who was Debbie, she and her boyfriend go down to the basement. He's the one with the creepy ponytail, and he gets, was it like a buzzsaw in the face?
Did you guys take shop in high school?
No.
I had to build a birdhouse in 7th grade, and like we had to use that kind of equipment. Looking back, that's insane. We were in 7th grade cutting and using this. Anyway,
did anybody think it was a missed opportunity that he didn't get his ponytail chopped off first?
Yeah, commenting on how hideous it was.
Well, or I was hoping that the killer was going to pull him by the ponytail. It was just so.
It was so. I feel like they're setting us up for something, and then he just had a baby scrunchie on, and it just looked hideous. And I was like, okay, so the only point of that is just to look hideous.
I think it was an extra 80s weird fashion choice, but then the poor girl Debbie, she throws herself into the electrical, like the circuit breakers and everything, and electrocutes herself, which I thought was creative because I always think it's funny when someone kills themselves running away from the killer. It's just like a fun thing. So did you guys have a favorite kill of all of those, or anything that stood out for you in those kills?
Well, my favorite kill is the girl Melissa, who's very, very nice. Like she has a change of heart against Tiffany, and like then she throws the drink on her, so she has to go away into the bathroom to get out of her dress, and she's wearing her like one piece when she was doing like the dance number. I thought that was genuinely suspenseful. I actually thought she wasn't going to get killed because she was nice to the main girl, Lorie. And then when she was, and then the killer had one of these.
Yeah, the thing, yeah. You know what's funny about that scene, like Tim was saying, this is a character I remember, Melissa, because she's the only one of the wolf pack that turns on Tiffany and is actually nice to Lorie, because Tiffany is just like literally no one can talk to Lorie. We're going to win prom queen, one of us, but she wants it to be her. And Lorie's an outsider, treat her like shit. And Melissa's the only one that stands up to her. That scene in the bathroom, I do agree, it did have some suspense. I wanted more.
Yeah.
Like if they had taken that and amplified it by 3 more minutes of suspense or a chase or something, because it was dark. She was in the bathroom herself. It's like they had all the elements and then they ended it too quickly.
Yeah. And well, that's another thing. Like, I think this movie could have been longer. Usually we're complaining about movies that are too long. Like this movie could have been extended a bit to Tim was wanting more backstory exploration and more chase scenes, more opportunities to like really live and get to know the characters. Like the movie was really quick. When I saw that it was like an hour and 30 minutes, I'm like, wow, that's a fast movie compared
that got me excited.
Well, I totally agree. And that's what I think was missing for me, because it's like you said, it got to a point where we were going from kill to kill, and in between was maybe 2 to 3 minutes of like people looking creepy on the side so they could have more red herrings. And that's what it missed. Like after most of the wolf pack is killed and it's only just Tiffany and Lorie, they decide, rather than spending 5 minutes on a scene that could be like a chase scene or building suspense or backstory, they instead put in a dance off, like a dance number where the two girls dance to a full song.
I loved it.
Which they could have used to build suspense. Tim, I know you loved it. So tell me why.
Tiffany was so awkward. And like, I know she wasn't going for like full blown laughs, but she got them from me.
Yeah. Hiko, thoughts on the dance scene?
Well, it was, I took, my mind totally went to Mean Girls when they did the Jingle Bell Rock. Oh, and then the dance off.
Yeah, the dance off.
That I feel like they were trying to be like, oh, this is an 80 movie. Didn't every 80s movie, teen movie have some kind of dance off? It was funny. It just came out of nowhere. And what did they dance to? Was it?
Oh gosh,
Oh,
I
I'm
should
forgetting
know,
the
but I
song.
didn't make a mental note.
I know I didn't make a mental note either. All
Or
the songs were great.
Yeah, all the song, but there was that one song I didn't recognize, and it might have been like a newer, more contemporary song that sounded 80s. But we were all laughing because we watched it together.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
it was funny to see Tiffany like stumble and like try to get
it
back
was
on track.
so against her character. Oh, and going back to Melissa's death, there was also the little twist of like when she did get killed, there were two killers. So now us as a viewer, we had to figure out two killers. So I was like, okay, well, who would meet up together to kill people?
I did like that. Again, like there's a lot of things. I probably came off a little too harsh at the beginning with my thoughts on this movie because I didn't hate it. And there's a lot of movies that I have hated that have come out, but this is not one of them. I just thought there were so many missed opportunities in this movie. With that said, I did like that suddenly we see, like Tim said, two masked killers. So we're thinking, okay, this adds a new element. That means people have to work together. Is it two members of the wolf pack? Did maybe, there was even part of my brain that was like, did the girl who was gutted, was that all fake? I was thinking there could have been stuff like that.
The person was very tall and menacing. So I was like, okay, it's got to be a teacher.
Was it a teacher? Was it a dad? Was it a parent? Was it Lorie's dad back from the dead?
Oh,
we didn't know.
yeah.
There was so much, but like, yeah, the dance off was just like, again, I love the dance scenes in Prom Night, but the reason why they work is because they don't skimp on the suspenseful scenes, you know? So like you can have both. I'm not saying the dance scene didn't work. I'm just saying if you're going to have that scene, also give us like some suspense too as a horror comedy. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it could be used as a device to like a juxtaposition against something else that's happening at the same time, or
Like
you know,
cutting back and forth, like a body
cutting back and forth, yeah. Or it like actually is a part of a character's story, or like I don't know, yeah. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so we're getting to now. Okay, again, for me, a movie is successful in terms of character development if you get me to significantly care about a character. And I actually really cared about both Lorie and Megan. And I was really worried that Megan, her friend, was going to get killed because Megan goes into the basement and finds a bunch of the bodies. And I'm like, oh shit. And also, Lorie finally, like, Lorie has a crush on Tiffany's boyfriend who finally realizes she's awful and dumps her at the prom.
There's some interesting dialogue there. He's like, she goes, why do you keep just staring? We make a move. So then when he actually did try to make a move, she's like, no, not really. I'm not into this.
Yeah, and like Lorie kind of tells her friend Megan, who's like, oh my God, I found bodies. This is crazy. So there's a killer at the prom. And as in any horror movie,
you're ruining this for me.
Yeah, I don't believe you. You're crazy. What drugs have you done? Usually it's the parents saying this, but like Lorie goes off with Tiffany's now ex-boyfriend to canoodle or something. This surprised me because the guy, he was very nice, and he is just talking to her out of nowhere and randomly gets an axe in his head. And I actually jumped a little. I don't know if you guys saw.
I did. And I also, Hiko brought to my attention that I referenced a 40-year-old film called The Prowler.
Wait, Hiko, explain that for our listeners, because it was a good dig at Tim, actually.
But
I was sitting next to Tim. We were watching this movie, and you just said, "Oh, that was so surprising. That reminds me of that killer is like the Prowler." And I just immediately turned to him and I said, "Wow, thanks for that 40-year-old reference, Tim."
And he's absolutely right. I think it's actually maybe 43,
40 plus.
Yeah,
45-year-old reference. But the Prowler has a really distinguished kill where this guy gets it in the head. It's so disturbing. I mean, like, these movies don't go to that level of disgusting.
In the Prowler, his eyes go fully white. It is really disturbing. In this one, he gets the axe in the head and then starts what we finally have been waiting for, which is a chase scene. And we do get a good chase scene where Lorie and Megan together are running away from the killer. And I will say that the stunt person who puts on the costume did play it really aggressively. Like, that killer was fucking knocking the door.
Did either of you think when the two girls were like literally running for the prom to go and, be near the people, did both of you think that Megan was going to get like her head chopped off? Or
like he was going to come out of a corner because Lorie was ahead of her, and that Megan was going to get held back and like an axe to the face or something from around the corner. Yeah.
And, let me tell you, because other than the end, this scene was my favorite. And let me tell you why it was my favorite. I loved that. Okay, you usually have a killer in a slasher movie in the dark when there's not a lot of people. I have rarely seen people running through a public forum with tons of people and the killer is still coming after them. And we got that with Lorie and Megan. They're running through the prom floor. All the people are there. The killer's slashing people, pushing people aside. They get up to the stage to try to warn people. The killer gets on there and they have their final fight on stage. I thought that was a great decision.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, he runs in, chops a guy's head off, chops a girl's leg off, chops the principal's arm off on the stage.
I will say there was a lot of arm and hand chopping off. Like I was like, okay, let's come up with something new. But with that said, I just thought this scene was so great because I hate how in horror movies, like before the last kill, like everyone evacuates or everyone leaves the party or everyone leaves the school. Like I love because you immediately associate public forum with safety. And I kind of thought it was cool that, oh my God, they're here with everyone at the prom, but the killer is still coming after him. Like this killer doesn't give a shit.
It was very Carrie because in the movie Carrie, they're all in there stuck in the gym. Yeah. So it's very much like the guy in the red slicker and the mask is taking people out because he chopped that girl's leg off. He cut off that bitchy kid's head.
Yeah.
So
did you think Hiko Megan was going to get killed? And would you have been upset if she had been murdered?
Oh yeah, I like Tim said, like he had asked us, like when they were running, I thought she was gonna do that trip and fall and like be like the last one out, but I would have been disappointed because I really liked that central friendship relationship in the movie. It wasn't like it wasn't like it was two girls, two friends. It wasn't like the last couple standing. It wasn't, the final girl and her crush or her knight in shining armor. It was, I like that Megan stayed with her through the end.
I did too, because again, exactly like you said, we've gotten so many movies where the final girl's crush makes it with her boyfriend, or let's say like their sibling or something.
Really curbed that whole aspect of like a guy saving the day or like a couple. Like they just like, oh, he gets a knife through his head. We're done.
And that's where I liked it. That's where I thought it pulled itself away from other movies, that the core, the survivors were the two friends. So Lorie stabs the killer with her tiara, not the one Tim's wearing, but in the eye. And we find out, oh my God, the big reveal, spoiler alert, everyone, Chris Klein, aka Tiffanys' dad, is the killer. And okay, as we were watching, I know I may have ruined it for people, but I looked over at Tim and Hiko and I said, well, obviously Chris Klein's the killer. He's been gone for half the prom. And what do you know?
Well, there was one really scene that told me he was the killer. Like he knew that
when he said, I'm the killer.
Yeah. When he goes, I'm the killer. No, when he said, when he took the drink out of someone's hand and it was like the punch fully full of vodka and he just wolfed it down. I was like, that is a killer move.
Because a dad's drinking at the prom.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But as we are viewers, we know he's not the only killer. Now, he doesn't give anyone up, but I was like, the motive of him just wanting to get his daughter to win prom queen, I guess it was a little light for me. Do you guys have thoughts on that? Because is prom queen and king that important?
I mean, I'm still talking about it.
In Shady Side it is.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, again, it's like, I don't want you to spoil the book, Hiko, but can you at least tell me what was the motive of the killer in the book?
Oh, yeah. So the book is a lot simpler because it's only 150 pages. And there's only 3 murders, I think. So someone is knocking off the prom queen candidates and you find out let me rephrase or go back a little. There's a girl who goes missing. The first prom queen candidate goes missing, and it turns out it was her killing the candidates. She faked her own disappearance or kidnapping, and she was killing. Her name was Simone, and I remember all this because I read it last year for an Instagram live chat and to prepare for the movie. Her name was Simone, and she was killing all the candidates because they also happened to have fooled around with her ex-boyfriend.
I think I would have preferred that plot. By the way, I only asked you for the motive, but thank you for spoiling the whole book.
Oh.
Did he give it? Oh, but did he give it? Oh, yeah, he did give away the.
Yeah, he did. It's okay. It's okay. Please. We spoil so much. It's okay.
It's a 33-year-old spoiler.
Yeah, get it together.
But to jump into the ending, so Lorie goes home with Tiffany because they're neighbors, and Tiffany finally apologizes for being just absolutely horrible to her the whole time, that her dad's a killer. The mom is being talked to by the cops, and we all know there's another killer involved. And I'm thinking, is it the daughter? Is it the wife? Was it someone he was having an affair with? And Lorie is nice enough to this girl who's been so awful to her the whole movie to like stay with her as she falls asleep. Well, the mom goes home and we find out, what do you know? The mom's the second killer and she wants to go and kill Lorie. And first Lorie and Tiffany are like running away from her together. And while they're hiding in the closet, Halloween referenced him, best movie ever.
It was.
Tiffany tries to stab Lorie. So you find out it's a fucking family affair. They all were killers.
It should have been called Fear Street Family Business.
Well, then I think the not an aspect. Anyway, and we get through that. So this is a big plot point change. Thoughts on that? Because I will say, as much as the reveal wasn't shocking to me, I did kind of like that they all were in it together, because like literally this whole family is nuts.
Yes. And well, yeah, I appreciated the plot twist. And first of all, it was kind of funny that the mother comes home and she whips out a giant kitchen knife and she's going up the stairs, running the knife along the banister, like making so much noise, not being stealth or quiet at all.
It's ridiculous.
And Lorie like wakes up and what's that noise? So like, oh, another killer is on their way. So the mom, I guess the mom was like totally fed up with it. She's like, I'm gonna do whatever I want and just come and get this bitch. So
you're so right. I didn't even think about that. She wasn't quiet at all. She could have easily snuck up on them and killed Lorie, but instead she's like, I'm gonna just put this knife on the banister, make as much noise as possible. I knew the mom was pretty much the second killer. I thought there was a possibility Tiffany was a bitch the whole movie, but actually wasn't horrible and maybe wasn't involved. But at the same time, it was so in character for her to be involved.
It's one scene where she literally is so condescending to her in the movie and so mean and calling her nothing that I was like, I don't know if she can flip-flop that fast. So when she did pull out a knife and then like the daughter, the mother, like I was into it. It was very campy. I was like, oh, this is working all for me.
So campy. And then we get the very slightly tacked on backstory and we find out that actually Tiffany's mom killed Lorie's dad, not Lorie's mom like everyone assumed, because she left her for Lorie's mom. Now, again, like not to nitpick logistics, but wouldn't Lorie's mom, in her defense, had said, hey, he had a jealous ex-girlfriend who probably killed it. Like, wouldn't that have been her first defense to put the onus on her? Can't think about that kind of logic.
See, that's the scene that's really missing, is that the mother never told Lorie, like, hey, there might have been like that, like the fact that the two mothers across the street weren't.
Did anyone want Lorie's mother to come in at the end to help her?
Yeah, I did.
Maybe. Like, it's like, did they not have the budget to use that actress for that day? They only had her for one day to shoot 2 scenes in the whole movie.
In a white tank top. Yeah.
I didn't like that white tank top.
So wasn't Lorie's mother also on the police force?
Yes.
Wait, was she?
Yeah, she well
in the first scene she had a uniform on.
Yes. Wouldn't she know what was going on?
Who knows?
Maybe she was like a security guard.
Every character was
Lorie's mom could have like shown up with the cavalry when the ambulance is at the prom, like, oh, my daughter, what happened? You know, I'm here with my police chief and officers, and we don't hear from her again. Yeah.
After Lorie was attacked and almost killed and almost butchered, I was almost filleted last night, Billy. You know, after Lorie was attacked, wouldn't the first call be to her mom to be anyway? Okay, too much thinking about this. So Lorie very brilliantly kicks the fuck out of Tiffany, and she gets thrown off a banister and lands on what the fuck was that?
It was like a piece of art, and it reminded me of Black Christmas 2006 when she lands on the Christmas tree and slides.
Not down. He.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's like she doesn't die.
That's
She takes
right.
it. Yeah. So she's dead. So it's down to just the mother and her. Now, me being such a Laurie Metcalf, Mrs. Loomis fan, wanted there to be some sort of just like, confrontation between them. We did not get that. No, we did not get that.
Okay, there's a little one. There's a little tiny scuffle. But the best is, and this was so funny to me. Okay, so she goes downstairs and she gets the trophy, bashes her head. But then as she's laying down on the ground, she's like, "You bitch. You bitch."
Yeah, she didn't finish her off.
Well, I mean, because
Not a killer.
yeah, she's not a killer. What would that say about Laurie? She couldn't stoop to that level.
True,
But
true.
I mean, obviously the mom got brain damage. She was just gonna die out. She was just,
You bet.
short circuit. She was short circuiting, but she was still determined to like call her names.
You're nothing.
And then I have to ask you, Hiko, because that's kind of how it ends, but we do get a mid-credit scene where her blood forms like a pentagram shape. Now tell us, what does that mean?
Well, it wasn't a pentagram, but if you remember the original trilogy from 2021, it was the mark of the witch. It was starting to form the mark of the witch, which
Which?
fans of the movie will assume or like try to figure out that maybe the mom and maybe the dad were possessed by the curse, the Shadyside curse.
Oh.
And that's why they went berserk and they were killing everyone. So I was actually waiting. One of my whole I actually wrote a piece on Mashable about speculating what could we expect in this new movie. And one of the things was that based on the trilogy, could this prom queen killer be supernaturally motivated? And so as the movie was going on and on, I'm like, oh, maybe not. Maybe it's just a straight up human killer. But then that little nugget at the very end in the mid credits scene, it like just dropped, and it was a very big Easter egg to like think about, and like maybe there was something supernatural involved in all of these killings. So
yeah, I do remember the like Shadyside Witch and the curse, and wasn't it related to the Fear family, but spelled F-I-E-R or something like that?
well, yeah, so in Fear Street 1666, we find out that it was the Good family. There was the Good and the Fears. And the patriarch of the Goods, he made like a deal with the devil to have all of his descendants to have like wealth and prosperity and success for generations to come. And that kind of led to the creation of Sunnyvale and Shadyside. Shadyside being the downtrodden, bad luck town, and Sunnyvale being the upper class, prosperous town. So that happened, and and part of that deal was that a bunch of people would always be killed, like every generation or every couple of decades in Shadyside. And so
is this lore or mythology brought up in the actual Fear Street books, or was that made for those movies?
Well, they borrowed some elements from actually the second trilogy within the Fear Street book series called the Fear Street Saga, and it's about the Goods and the Fears. But it was actually the Good family was actually good. Like R.L. Stein was very literal with that, and it was the Fears who were like practicing the dark arts and black magic and created the whole curse on the town. They kind of swapped it with the movies, with the movie trilogy, but because in the movie trilogy in 1666, Sarah Fear was accused of being a witch when she wasn't. She was just a lesbian having an affair with another woman in the village, and that was like considered.
She's a witch.
Yeah, yeah. So there was, it was kind of flipped and changed for the movies, but yeah, I'm curious to read now, to go online and see all the fan theories and comments and critiques about what people, what people think about all of this in the end.
Well, technically she wasn't dead, and neither is Chris Klein, so they can be in.
Well, the dad is alive. His eye got gouged out. I think that she was gonna be brain dead. She was bleeding out or something. The mom was, and
You're
Tiffany's
a doctor.
Tiffany, I'm a doctor. Yeah, Tiffany's definitely dead. Well, I would love to know what is everybody's overall thoughts on the movie, and I want to actually end with Hiko. So first, Tim, what are your overall? I mean, I know you kind of alluded to this, but now
I loved it. It was such easy viewing for me. It was like a cherry Coke, just went down real nice,
and it was sweet.
It was so sweet,
bubbly.
I was into it. I mean, my only criticisms at all is that I want a little more chase scene and maybe just longer chases, but I like the hour and 29 minutes, so maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are very different, but like I just thought it's hard not to compare it to the other Fear Street movies because it's part of this like kind of anthology in a way. And I just thought the other Fear Street movies were a lot stronger. I thought, like I've said in this episode, there wasn't a ton of characterization. Although, with that said, there were a couple characters I did legitimately care about. I thought that there could have been a ton more suspense and a ton more story brought on, especially with the backstory related to her mom, which I was interested in, and they kind of didn't fully explain that. And I thought that the ending and having a full family involved as the killers was interesting. And I think that was one of the stronger points. And like I said, the scene when the killer runs through the prom. But all in all, I just didn't think it was a strong entry. Like with all the horror coming out lately, the movies I'm gonna remember, I don't know if this is one of the movies I'm gonna be like, oh my god, like that really stood out as like a strong horror movie, but it had all the elements where it could have been. So I think that's where I'm a little disappointed. Okay, so Hiko, now we want all of your thoughts on the Fear Street Prom Queen movie.
Well, because I care so much about these books and the franchise, I have a lot of thoughts. So bear with me. Just because I've been such a diehard fan for so many years. I didn't hate it. It was a straight up, trashy 80s slasher. That was the overall feel I got from this movie. Obviously, I knew going into the movie this wasn't going to be loyal to the book, because these books were written so long ago. They have to be translated in a way, especially on film, to like, to amp up the scares and death and really work hard for that R rating. There were a few disappointments. I know they didn't mention Fear Street. None of the characters lived on Fear Street. This is, I know, an issue that a lot of fans had with the movie trilogy. I think it could have been longer. I think it could have been, it could have stayed more with the characters, been a little stronger with the development. It kind of lived up to its cheesy trashiness that I was expecting, kind of like the RL Stein books. There was that kind of ridiculous twist at the end, which was really fun and really helped that final act. It was really gruesome, really fun. And also knowing I had expected it to tie into the lore that the trilogy had set up. So I'm glad for that mid credits scene where you see the mom bleeding out in the living room, and it forms that witch mark that harkens back to like 1666 and the curse that was put upon the town. So obviously, yeah, there was some supernatural force driving these particular killings in Prom Queen.
Question for you: do you think, with the exception of that ending scene, they could have just called this movie Prom Queen and not made it related to Fear Street? Like, do you think that maybe they used the equity that Fear Street had and made a movie that wasn't really true to Fear Street? Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, even if you took the label Fear Street off of this, it would be a fun, prom themed 80s slasher. Even though the book the book came out in 1992. So you could have it taken place in that year, but of course we had Fear Street 1994. That's too close. 1988 kind of sets its own fun aesthetic and tone and era, especially with the music. They must have put all of their budget into the soundtrack for this, the music supervision. And that's another thing too. Someone who worked on the movie, I won't say their name, reached out to me on Instagram just to say, they've been following me on Fear Street Diaries. And as I was like, promoting the movie and posting so much stuff, especially I went to this, what do you call it? An
Like a pop-up.
Yeah, like an experiential pop-up event that Netflix put on here in LA, which actually the venue was literally 1 mile from my apartment. And that was really cool. They recreated the whole prom setting, and there were lots of photo ops and like scare zones with the red hooded killer. And as I was posting all this content up, the person reached out to me on Instagram and said, "Wow, they put way more money into the marketing than they did the actual movie."
Yeah.
And overall, I kind of got that feeling as well. Like it felt cheaper overall, not as cinematic as the trilogy might have felt. So, that was a little jarring for me, but overall, I will, like Tim said before, I will probably watch it again. I will watch it again, just to live in it more. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take it for what it is. A fun, trashy 90-minute slasher. And I will be looking forward to whatever adaptations they come up with next for Netflix.
Yeah, I wanted to know your thoughts on, obviously, Fear Street. It's such a hot property, and now that they have revived it in movies on Netflix, and obviously even with the not so positive reviews that this one's getting, it's still going to continue. People love these books, as you know. What do you want to see next in terms of a Fear Street revival? Do you have a certain book in mind? Do you just want more of the specific Fear Street lore? What would you want to see next?
Yeah. Yeah, I, like a lot of other people, fans that I know, there's a lot of great iconic entries in the book series that could be adapted for like future slashers or supernatural stories. Halloween Party, of course, is close to my heart. It was the very first book I ever read, and it has a perfect setting. These teens being invited to a Halloween party in Simon Fear's mansion in the woods, the Fear Street woods, and there's a killer in the house with them. There's that. The Silent Night books is really popular. They could, it seems ripe. The franchise seems ripe for like a holiday themed slasher. Silent Night has this main character who's like this spoiled rich girl who gets terrorized around Christmas time. And then there's also Broken Hearts. It's a Valentine's Day slasher. Has a great tagline on the book cover: Valentine's Day can be a killer. And of course, I think I don't know if you call it the Holy Grail, or like the most excited that fans would be for an adaptation would be the Cheerleaders trilogy. That was another 1992 series of books. It's basically about cheerleaders being possessed by an evil spirit.
Relatable.
We Tim and I always joke have you seen the movie Cheerleader Camp?
Oh yeah, I have the DVD.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Awful. But like, it's such a great setup, and Tim has the DVD and he would bring it over and we would never watch it. And so every time Tim would leave, he'd be like, "And don't go thinking that Cheerleader Camp DVD is yours." And I'm like, so don't worry.
Anytime anyone mentions anything about cheerleaders, I think of that.
Tim owns it.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, yeah, like I personally, I want Halloween Party to be made into a movie. Can you guess why, Tim?
No, I have no clue, because no one cares about that film.
Yeah.
But I think Silent Night would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it isn't quite, yeah, I mean, obviously the filmmakers would have to amp it up and change it. Like, of course, especially after seeing Prom Queen, us fans, we have to move forward knowing that they're just going to take the basic premise of these books and really just run with it with their own kind of material and story. So
do you think if it's number 1 on Netflix, there'll be a Prom Queen 2?
That's a good question, because we know that one of the killers is still alive, right?
That's true. But like, what is he going to do? Follow her into college?
And wearing a little hat?
There's no problem. Like, that's the thing. Like, I guess, and I guess his daughter, unless maybe, what if Tiffany
has
flunks
a sister?
Or she flunks to be a 5th-year senior just to be prom queen?
Well, she's dead.
Oh yes. Oh God. Oh my God. Oh, okay. So then what would be the killer's? I guess he would be trying
to avenge his wife and daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There are some books in the Fear Street series that have sequels, but Prom Queen doesn't. I think with the movies, they're going to have to be very episodic.
Yeah.
And just stand alone because there's like almost 100 books in the series they can.
Oh, it sounds like work.
So,
I just think, again, this is with a lot of personal bias. I just think a Fear Street movie about a killer at a Halloween party that they release at Halloween time on Netflix would be so popular. Like it's just has a built-in audience because you have the Fear Street fans, you have people looking for horror at Halloween. Anything around Halloween is a great idea, right, Tim?
Yeah.
It's just perfect. And like you said, they could easily connect it to the lore just by saying it's a party at Mr. Fear's mansion, and just keep it at that. So at least you appease the fans, and then you don't have to put too much in. You're right that they had no ties in Prom Queen. They could have just easily had one shot of Fear Street or one line, So
I'm getting goosebumps.
Oh God,
wrong series.
Well, Hiko, I think you need to be a consultant. We're going to call it here. Tim, get RL Stein on the phone.
Okay.
Go. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, if you know anyone at Netflix, if anyone sees this, I have all the material. I'm very familiar with it. Let me help you.
Let me
What's
help
that
you.
called? I see that on movie credits, like an executive consultant. Yeah.
Consulting producer.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, but the truth is, we talk about this all the time as horror fans. More fans should be involved in the development of these new movies, because I think the biggest concern that a lot of fans have is that the people that are working on them don't understand the material or aren't true fans themselves. So just have a few fans involved and we'll give people what they want. I don't know.
Yeah. And
we could talk about that forever.
Yeah, and that said, that kind of makes me wonder, did the co-writer and director, how familiar was he with the book series? I haven't seen any interviews with him, but that makes me wonder just based on, the results of Prom Queen. But yeah.
Well, look, we've had a blast living out our prom dreams with you as Prom King and Prom Queen from Happy Horror Time and our Fear Street expert, Hiko. Tell everyone where, we talked about your Instagram page, but give everyone the handle and where they can find you on social.
Oh, yeah. It's at Fear Street Diaries. I'm doing a fun little giveaway, but by the time this comes out, it'll probably be over with. But having gone to the Shady Side High senior prom, I managed to get some cool little souvenirs that I'm going to give away on Instagram. But that'll be done with probably. Fear Street at Fear Street Diaries. My personal one is at The First Echo. And yeah,
your OnlyFans also.
Are you on Threads? Are you on X?
My OnlyFans.
I'm on
Fear
Threads, yes. And I've kind of been posting more of my Fear Street fan content and other horror content on my TikTok, which is just my name, Hiko Mitsuzuka. So
yeah, spell that, listeners. Spell it. Just kidding. Mitsuzuka, correct?
Matt, stop bragging.
I am bragging. Tim, spell Mitsuzuka. Go.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Hiko, so much. This is a great, you were the perfect guest to have on this because, number one, since we haven't read the books, we'd have no idea what we were talking about and purely assess it as a movie. So thank you for providing all of the info so that Fear Street fans or just fans of horror can know the background of these and what maybe they missed out on in this movie because it didn't have such a tie. But yes, everyone check out Fear Street Diaries, and Hiko, I'm sure we will have you on again. And thank you so much for your time. We've had a blast.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Okay, well, take care. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Happy Horror Time.
If you'd like to support the podcast, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. As a patron, you get access to all our bonus content, which now includes 2 new bonus episodes every month, a monthly after show mini episode, access to our Discord community so you can chat with us directly, and the chance to review a film with us in one of our bonus episodes.
Patrons also get all our regular episodes ad-free and a day early, our monthly newsletter, the chance to vote in polls, and autographed Happy Horror Time stickers.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy horror time.